Welcome back, guys. It's a little bit cold outside to do some work on the cars, even though we do have a few things we need to do out there, and we'll get those in once it warms up a little bit. So I thought, what could I do do some inside work? I realize a lot of you guys, been watching the Suzuki Forenza videos. I appreciate you guys' support on that. And also, I realize a lot of you guys just going in there and just going to need to change your timing belt. As you remember with me, the timing belt broke and that bent some valves, and I had to pull the head off and then put the head back on. So what I can do here is I can take these videos, 18 videos here, and I can take and cut out the pertinent information to create a new video series which will just show you how to change and replace your timing belt. Now keep in mind, the original is going to be there. This is going to be the addition of some new videos just pertinent for changing the belt. So there's going to be some probably some voiceover work there done, where I'm going to add some more of my own thoughts in there, and maybe I didn't put into the original videos, and so you might notice a little bit of difference in the audio as far as in the volume. Try to do the best job I can. Also, Miss Josie. Also, you may see some things in there that's going to have things off that nothing that I could really do. For example, you might see the camshaft cover off, but I'll point these things out. Like, you don't need to take that off. So if I see something that's obvious, I'll point these things out. Hopefully, this will get you right straight the information you need. And although the information was in the original videos, and I tried to point it out with some annotations and notes, that you can watch this part, watch this video. All right, don't now go to this link, and now you can watch the next video. The information was there, but I realized it's a little bit cumbersome to try to, go through the videos and watch this, and then you're trying to put it together what you need to do to just change your timing belt. So I'm going to try to create some videos like we're just changing the timing belt, okay? So just keep in mind that these are from the original videos, and hopefully, you can get to if you want to just do that job, you can just go through and watch these videos, and you don't have to worry about all this other stuff to take off about, removing the head and putting the head back on. So I appreciate all you guys' support, and I want to wish you and all your families a very happy new year, and also wish you all the success and happiness that life has to offer you. You guys take care. Okay, what we're looking at here is a 2006 Suzuki Forenza. This has a 2.0 liter engine. Of course, this is a 4-cylinder engine. Now, there's a lot of other makes that this here timing belt replacement will apply to. This will be like from 2004 to 2008 Suzuki Forenza. I believe it will also apply to the Renos. Other options out there for makes was Chevy Optra and the GM Daewoo Lacetti, the Daewoo Nibiru. So there's a lot of different makes out there that this here will probably apply to. One other thing I'd like to mention also is that the interval that's on this timing belt change is 60,000 miles. And also in this procedure, I'm going to show you replacing the idlers and also the water pump, which I highly recommend just replace it all, because by the time you get 60,000 miles on there and you're already there, go ahead and replace all this stuff, because if anything happens to those idlers, and they're pretty cheap, and if anything happens to that water pump and that belt slips, you're going to be looking at some major work to get this here head repaired. One of the first things to do is to remove the negative cable from the battery. Okay, we're on the passenger side of the car. Go ahead and get it jacked up, put it on the jack stand, get the tire off. I'm going to be pointing out some bolts here that you're going to take off with a splash shield. That one you're going to take off. Look up the top right corner. I'm not going to point it out. I missed it. You're going to take that bolt out. You're going to take this bolt out, which is a plastic bolt there. Then we're going to go up underneath the car. The splash shield will wrap around underneath. And there's going to be 2 plastic fasteners, and you can see them now. So you're going to go ahead and take those 2 out, and I'm pointing to them right now. Okay, now once you remove that splash shield, this is what you'll be looking at. You're looking at the front of the engine. You can see the oil filters there on the left. You can see the crankshaft pulley. So that's what we have at this point right now. Okay, we're looking at the air box right now. So we're going to pan across. and you're going to see the resonator that's sitting on top of the throttle body. That's that big black box you see right now. Okay, we're going to pan over a little bit. You're going to see two hoses. Now the hose that's on the left, the hose I'm pointing out right now, loosen that hose clamp up, slide it back, and remove the hose off of the camshaft cover. Alright, there's also a hose clamp that secures the resonator to the throttle body. We're going to be zooming in here in just a second. You'll see this here screw for the hose clamp. So go ahead and loosen this screw right there. Now, once you loosen up that screw, then we're going to slide across. We're going to be looking at another hose clamp that you're going to loosen up, and this one right here, loosen that one up right there. Now before you lift straight up on the resonator, there's one more thing we need to do. We need to remove this here connector, which is the incoming air temp sensor. So you see the wire bell, I'm pushing it down. So while you push it down, go ahead and pull straight back on it, and that'll release it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this air box, and I'm pointing out the 4 screws. There's one on each corner. There's one, there's 2, and the lighting is a little bad, and I apologize. I was filming this by myself in this first video. There's a 3rd one, and then there's a 4th one. You'll see them up there on the top, so go ahead and loosen those on up. Okay, once you get the 4 Phillips screws out for your air box there, just take the cover, just lift it straight up, and then once you do that, come back in, take the filter, and lift him straight up, and set him aside. Okay, once we get the top off and we get the filter out, now we're going to remove this here base for the air cleaner assembly. We got a 10mm head right here, and over on the other side, down at the bottom, you can see it way down there on the bracket down there. That one right there. That's going to be a 12mm head. This is what it looks like now after the air box is out of the way. We can see the engine mount, which we're going to have to take that out. And also, if you look down there, you can see there's a rag that I put in the duct just keep some stuff from accidentally falling in there. And also, if you look over there on the throttle body, you can see that there's a rag tucked in there to keep some stuff out. On the next step, I think what we'll do is we'll remove the serpentine belt, the tensioner, right there. So it's probably a little hard to see. Maybe I'll get in there a little bit. Maybe a little more light. Now, since it's about impossible for me to show you the routing of the belt in the video, so what I've done here is I've give you a layout of the belt to show you how it goes. You see up there in the top left corner, it goes over top of the alternator, then it comes over top of the power steering pump, and then I've got here's marked air compressor, but really that's the air conditioning compressor. And then it wraps around, goes around the crankshaft pulley, then it goes around on the right hand side of the tensioner and back to the alternator. I'll give you a shot up here at the tensioner. I'm going to loosen it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn clockwise, and as you can see, while we got it down, we'll just slip the belt right off. As you can see now, the belt's off. And by the way, that was a 15mm hex head for that. Go ahead and remove the belt. You can move it up from the top. I was having a little bit of issues here trying to get it from the top, so I just took and let it pass down through the bottom and just picked it up from there. In the next step, we're going to be taking off the engine mount, so you need to support the bottom of the engine. Here you see I'm using my transmission jack. I have a piece of plywood mounted to the jack, and that's up underneath the oil pan. You can use a scissors jack. You can use a hydraulic jack. Just be sure to put your piece of plywood or something across your jack so you can distribute the load across the oil pan. You do not want to take your jack and just jack up on the bottom of this oil pan and stand a chance of cracking it. Okay, in this step we're going to move this engine mount that I'm pointing out right now. If you look around at the very bottom, you'll see 4 hex head bolts. They will have a 14mm heads, and also up on the very top of the engine mount, closest to the engine, you'll see 2 studs with 2 nuts on that. That will also be removed, and the bolt that's in between it, that will be removed. All the nuts and the bolt again is also 14 millimeter. Now once you remove all the bolts and the nuts here, it's just a simple matter of just lifting the mount straight up. Now you may find that it may not be quite that easy as I showed here. You may have to jack it up, go to your jack. You might have to lift it up a little bit or down a little bit, you know, for it to slide right off. But find that sweet spot and just on your jack there where it needs to be, and you can just lift it right on off of there. Okay, the next step is this power steering line is right over top of where the cover is, timing belt cover. And what we want to do here is I'm going to remove this here fastener off of this here bracket, holds this bracket down, and that way we can kind of move this thing back out of the way. Here on the timing belt cover, looks like we have, let's get a little light, we have, looks like it's a 10 millimeter fastener head right here, and there's one, if you can see it, right down there, and then there's another one, if I can see it, is right there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see the recess area. So all of those should be 10 millimeters, so we'll take those off. All right, here's the two bolts that came out from the timing belt cover, and be careful because these washers will fall right off of there. And as I mentioned, those were 10 millimeter heads on those. Also, this cover right here just fits right in there like so. Slides down. And this here bolt, it's no washer, just like you see it there, 10 millimeter head. And this one here has got some Loctite on it, so it was pretty snug. So just be aware of that. Okay, we're looking at the timing belt cover now. The timing belt cover has 3 metal clips, and I'm pointing out the one that's up on the top. And there's one over on the side where I'm pointing out right now. And then there's another one on the right hand side. And I may not be able to see it, I'm not showing it in this video, but there's going to be 3 of them. And what you do to release these clips, you just lift it back, lift it away, and that will separate the front timing belt cover from the rear belt cover so that they can separate. So that's all you have to do on that one. Okay, after you get the 3 clips, and that's how many it was 3, one in the middle, one right over here on each side. Just spring those back, and then once you do that, at the very bottom on the lower left where the fastener was at, down here to hold the timing belt cover, let me just carry you right under there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you look right there, you see the steel posts. Well, in the timing belt cover there's a rubber grommet, just like it is on the other side. That one was actually got free, but I had to come under here and pull the cover straight out so the rubber grommet would slide off of this here boss. So once I did that, it looks like everything should pull out. Just a matter of just lifting it straight on that. Okay, in this step we're going to be removing the crankshaft pulley. You can see that the crankshaft sprocket is held on with the one bolt in the center that I'm pointing out that has a 17 millimeter head. The crankshaft pulley is held on with 4 socket head bolts that I'm pointing out. These socket head bolts have a 6 millimeter hex head, so a 6 millimeter hex bit will fit that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a 17 millimeter socket and I'm going to put it on a pull handle so I can hold the crankshaft from turning. Then I'm going to get a 3/8 drive ratchet, and I'm going to put the 6 millimeter hex bit on that, and then I'm going to break each one of these bolts loose. So when I break the first bolt, then I'm going to turn the crankshaft bolt that I'm just pointing out. I'm going to turn the crankshaft clockwise. Remember, always turn this clockwise. This is why you're facing it just like the hands of a clock. You want to go clockwise. Turn the crank till you get to the next bolt so you can get access to it. Break it, turn it, turn the crank again, break the next bolt until you get all 4 of these bolts loose. And what I'm doing right here is I'm just showing that procedure, what I'm doing. So I'm holding that that bolt in the center, and then I'm gonna come back in here. I'm gonna put the hex bit into the socket head bolt, and I'm gonna break it, and then I'm gonna turn that crank clockwise and repeat the procedure until you get all 4 of those broken or loose. Okay, I've already taken the 4 6mm head bolts out. That's just a matter, it's not a press fit anything, you just slip it right off of there. Okay, we're looking at the camshaft sprockets now, and they are in time right now. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to be pointing out to where these here marks should be lined up once you turn that crankshaft clockwise until you get these here 2 marks on the camshaft sprockets lined up. The ones I'm pointing right now, that's on the intake sprocket, that's lining up with the mark that's on the rear timing belt cover, and also the mark that's over here on the exhaust camshaft sprocket that's lined up with the mark that's up here on the rear timing belt cover. And we're going to go over the crankshaft sprocket, and we'll see the mark where it is set in just a little bit. Now take a look down there at the very bottom of the crankshaft sprocket, and you'll see a piece of you'll see a little bit of white paint. Now this white paint, you'll see that it's a little flat notch. You'll see it on the crankshaft when you get up close. You may not be able to see the flat little notch here where that paint is at. But you want to turn this here crankshaft sprocket clockwise until you get that notch, that white paint, lined up with the little V notch that's down there in the rear timing belt cover. Now, when you do that, take a look up at the top on your camshaft sprockets. See if they're lined up, because they could be pointing straight down. Your marks could be pointing straight down. If it's that case, turn it another 360 degrees. Put it back on the mark again, where the white paint is right there, lined up with the V notch, and then take a look, and you should be in time at that point with your marks up on your camshaft sprockets. As pointed out where they should be lining up with the marks on the rear timing belt cover. In this shot here, what I'm doing is I'm pointing out, there's that white paint, the notch that's on the crankshaft sprocket, and right there is the notch that's on the back timing belt cover. So get those 2 marks lined up along with the camshaft sprockets that's up on the very top. Okay, that concludes this video right here. The next video, we're going to be taking the timing belt off, we're going to be taking the idlers off, we're going to be taking the water pump off, and draining the coolant. And so stay tuned for the next video, and appreciate you guys' support, and you guys take care.